Reform. Nigel Farage's populist right-wing party has just swept local elections across England and Wales, while Labour, only 10 months after winning a majority in a general election, suffered its worst result in many decades. They've gone back on everything they said they would do for the working class, said a female voter speaking to the BBC after Reform also defeated Labour in the Runcorn and Helsby by-election last week. On every doorstep, it was Prime Minister Keir Starmer's winter fuel payment and benefit cuts that voters were angry about, Labour sources told the BBC. Labour's 14,700 vote majority in the North West England seat was wiped out, and it was the same elsewhere, as Reform swept up Conservative and Labour votes in local elections across England and Wales. But people were not so much voting for Reform's anti-immigration policies as voting against Starmer's Tory blue Labour ones. In one of the most extreme turnarounds, Durham saw Reform sweep the county, taking 65 council seats, with Labour losing 38 and the Conservatives 15. In Derbyshire, Labour dropped to 4th place with 6%, with Reform on 37%, sweeping the council. The Tories lost all 15 of the councils they were defending, with Reform taking 10 councils. The Conservatives suffered an even worse set of results than Labour. Leader Kemi Badenoch is not going to turn that around. The century-old two-party system is dead. Labour held on with reduced votes in several mayoral seats in Tyneside, Doncaster and the west of England, which is a small consolation for Starmer. But overall, this is catastrophic for the Prime Minister. Make no mistake, these terrible results for Labour are down to Starmer's betrayal of the electorate. By continuing Conservative austerity policies and making the poorest and most vulnerable pay for the lack of growth in the UK's stagnant economy, Starmer must carry the can. He may limp on as Prime Minister, but hundreds of recently elected Labour MPs must be thinking that their political careers are going to end at the next election unless the government drastically changes course. Recent polling by the More in Common research group gave a flavour of what voters in the north of England are feeling about the government: betrayed and angry. For many, the country is broken and no politician will fix it, since they appear to serve themselves or their financial backers rather than the common good. They're targeting the wrong people: pensioners, the disabled. It seems to be the groups who can't fight back, said Chris, a mechanic, to More in Common. Starmer's Labour has kept the Conservatives' two-child benefit cap, axed the winter fuel allowance that was given to millions of pensioners, and is cutting billions from support for disabled people. It refuses to nationalise the broken privatised water system or take action to cap rents as the UK's housing crisis spirals. This is not what people voted for last July. In a country of boarded up high streets and food banks, people see no difference between the policies pursued by Starmer's Labour Party and the Conservatives who he defeated at last year's general election. In fact, since 1979 and the victory of Margaret Thatcher, both parties have pursued policies to deregulate the economy in favour of corporations and the rich. Prime Minister Starmer is no different. As long as major parties take large donations from wealthy donors with an interest in maintaining an economy that largely benefits the 1% richest, politics in the UK will not serve the interests of the majority. And if we follow the money, it's clear that, like the Conservatives and Reform, Labour has accepted large donations from millionaire donors with special interests. These include the Cayman Islands registered hedge fund Quadrature Capital, donating $4 million to Labour, which invests in fossil fuel industries, private healthcare and arms, including ExxonMobil, Northrop Grumman and the notorious Palantir. Hedge fund millionaire Martin Taylor, with big stakes in private healthcare, has given $5 million to Labour. And Gary Lubner, donating $4.5 million, is a South African-born Israel supporter. Starmer is consistent on one issue: defending Israel from accountability for its war crimes and genocide in Gaza. His other big focus is increasing British military spending and putting boots on the ground in Ukraine. And neither of these pro-war policies are in line with the majority of the electorate. For now, Reform are in the ascendant, and if nothing changes, Nigel Farage's party could form the next government of the UK. But voters disillusioned with Labour and the Tories will soon find that Reform is no different or worse. In 2024, the Good Law Project revealed that 3/4 of Reform's donations since 2019 were linked to 9 companies and individuals with offshore interests. Reform, the Tories and Starmer's Labour have all tried to disguise their refusal to tackle the big issues facing the country by focusing on migrants arriving in small boats, as if a few thousand people fleeing war zones in the Middle East and Africa are responsible for the crisis in the NHS, the energy price rip-off and mass homelessness. But however dishonest, the message is working. The failure of our current political order to address urgent issues around the cost of living, crumbling public services, is pushing the system towards breaking point. In America, this kind of systemic crisis gave Trump his second term. Interestingly, the Starmer government's decision to take control of Scunthorpe Steelworks was the only Labour policy that people in the North East supported, more in common found. And this is the clear message to Labour coming out of the local elections. Change course now and start delivering real change for people, or die. But Starmer has shown a striking disinterest in delivering what people want. It will just be more of the same policies, further and faster, he said on Friday. On Saturday, he chose Rupert Murdoch's Times to refocus on his stalled growth mission and to pledge cuts to immigration. As one veteran Labour councillor told me in a moment of candour, Starmer is an effing useless leader. Having destroyed a party inherited from Jeremy Corbyn with 500,000 members and popular policies, his legacy could well be to hand the country to Reform.